All right, thank you so much, ma. So real quick, we'll be diving straight to the business of the day, which is the panelist question. These are design questions and setup questions where we dig deep and gain insight from, and we are privileged to have our speakers in our midst. So I'll be speaking to Mrs. Adele. I don't know, once Mrs. Root's network is stable, please just do well to notify us if your network is stable and you can hear us. We are really sorry about the poor network. Okay, Mrs. Adele, this is for you. If you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Use an
can.
emoji if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Mm,
So the first question will be going to you. Um,
all right.
Based on our topic today, we are looking at leadership, confidence, and integrity. So, ma'am, what does confident leadership look like without arrogance? What does it look like for you to be a confident leader and still yet remain humble and not arrogant? Please, can you just tell us what that means?
Um, Good evening again. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am.
Right, awesome. So I would like to start first by talking about what I believe leadership looks like or what leadership is. Many times we do not have the right idea. We see that in our society, we see that in our political and government level, how the people don't really understand who their leader is. A leader is actually a servant. You are first the servant of everybody whom you're supposed to be leading. You're a servant. Uh, if we now talk about representative leadership, it means the people selected you to lead them before a larger audience, meaning that you are bearing their interests in mind, you are serving them, you're ensuring that their needs are met, the very purpose for which you were chosen is fulfilled. That's delving a little away from just the general leadership. So leadership is not just about holding a position or being in authority, being a ruler like we see in many of our African societies, but it's more about influence, responsibility, service, the ability to actually inspire the people who follow you, the ability to cause change in your society, in your community. It is more about making a positive impact on the people. So I would say confident leadership is one without arrogance, according to the topic, is the ability to believe in yourself, your vision, your plans, your abilities, and still respecting other people, listening to them, valuing other people's opinions, rather than thinking that you know it all. As a leader, you are not a know-it-all. You are listening to everybody. You are learning from everybody. I would say, like, if I wanted to put it in a bullet point, I hope I'm still communicating, everybody can hear me. I would say confidence versus arrogance. A confident person would say, I know this thing, for instance, but I'm open to learning, rather than I know it, I don't need to know anything more. Nobody should tell me anything. I had a scenario even at the office today where we're working on an Excel document and it was very complicated. And the person who had previously done it was not open to letting people guide her to say, oh no, this is wrong, this is she because she is the leader of that team. I hope you are listening. So she was more like, no, I did it well, I've done it, I've showed it to my superior, it was okay. No, don't and then I had to intervene and say, I know that you're the leader of this team, you did it right, but listen to what she's saying, because she sounds correct. The observation she made is valid. If you constantly and consistently put down your team members, they would eventually stay there where you put them. They would never open up to you. You will never even know their potentials. You will never know their abilities, that they actually can do this and be a great support to you. So after that little pep talk, she was more open to listening, and then listen to the young lady who was correcting her and found out that the lady was actually correct. You know, our Gen Z generation, and thankfully our topic is women and youth. And we know that our youth these days are very, very, I would say intelligent, because they're so exposed to every level of technology, you know. So sometimes they know these things, and we who are a little of the older generation might not know it. Be open to learning. That is a good leader, being open to learning. Confident leadership is being relatable, ability to discuss, listen, hear everyone. Do not think that you know it too much. If you put people down, if you stop listening, people will lose trust in you. When leaders listen, people feel included. Relating this also to our government climb, the people are put down. The people have opinions, they have complaints, they have observations, they have comments, they have a lot to say, but nobody is listening. The leader does not care. The leader he puts, you know, he's not listening. He's not a listening leader, and that's not a good sign of that's not a good leader. Confident person can admit that I have made a mistake. I am wrong here. Just like the scenario I painted at the office today. The leader, even though she felt too proud to open up to the younger one and say, oh, yes, you're correct. I can see my mistake, you know, but at least she adopted the lady's observation. But a confident leader would rather say, oh, I made a mistake. I think I didn't get something right. Let's work together. Let's fix it. In our political and economic space, one of the biggest frustrations people have is when leaders don't take responsibility, especially when things are tough. Things are tough. They do not want to take the responsibility for the reasons the people are suffering, the challenges that they are suffering, why they have to endure so many ills being done to them, so many injustices, or the poor state of their economy. They are not taking responsibility for it, you know. So a leader is accountable, and accountability builds trust. When you are open, when you are, obviously we know in our government, I mean, there's no accountability most of the time. There's no accountability. Nobody wants to take
Sorry,
responsibility.
man, please. Sorry, please be rounding up, please. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, okay. How many minutes do I have?
You have
Okay,
3 minutes
well,
more, please.
3 minutes. Okay. So confident leadership, you focus on solutions, while an arrogant leader would rather want to protect his ego. He doesn't want to, he's a bubble buster, you know. A confident leader would rather say, what can we do differently? I'm open. Let's see how we can solve this and make things better. While the arrogant one wants to keep things as it is, you know. If it's not spoiled, let's not fix it. You know, confidence empowers people. That's the truth. Confidence builds people's confidence as well. You know, while arrogance is more like a person who wants to dominate, wants to control the people rather than build them up. He wants to be the only one up there, while the others are subjects to him. So it's a dominating attitude for when you're dealing with an arrogant leader. It's a dominating attitude. So confident leaders don't need to prove themselves. Sorry about my dog. There's no way I can shut him up. So sorry. So confident leaders don't need to prove themselves constantly. Their actions speak. I think I would stop here if I've addressed the question you asked about confidence versus arrogance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much, Ma. You did just so well, and I really appreciate you. And the part that really touched me the most was the part you started by saying leaders as servants. I think that alone has laid the foundation for humility and has evaded every form of arrogance. Thank you so very much, Ma. I think someone dropped something in the chat box. Let me read quickly. Um, she said, arrogant leader is always commanding. That's true. They are not listening. They are always wanting to be in command. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ngumu, for your contribution. I don't know if my executive director has something to say. Ma'am, the mic is yours, ma'am.
So no, Mrs. Adele did a very great job. So I just don't want us to, keep hammering on that. We have already said it all. You cannot have this confidence and arrogance in the same word, in the same place. If you are a leader, you can be confident without being arrogant. You cannot have, as a leader, confidence in you and arrogance in you, because one must overshadow the other one, and then you know what side you belong. So she has done very, very well answering that question. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Sam.
Right, thank you so much, ma. So we move to the next panelist. I don't know, Miss Roots, are you ready? Are you here? Okay, so in our absence, we move straight to Mrs. Ngozi Lilian. All right, Miss Ngozi Lilian, if you can hear me, can you signify with an emoji, please? All right, thank you so much, ma'am. So why is integrity especially critical for African future leadership? We have seen people complain about leaders carrying entourage, convoys, long line of convoys. So what do you think that integrity is really important for the future of African leadership? The mic is yours, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening and welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. When we talk about integrity, first of all, you must know what integrity means. Integrity simply means to be morally upright, meaning that having um nothing in your cupboard, being morally upright. So this gives in the terms of being accountable of your actions. That is what integrity means. So when we say integrity being critical for our future leaders, first of all, we talk about our future leaders needs integrity in terms of, because let me just put it in this way. Integrity becomes a foundation in which anybody who wants to be a leader have to stand on, because integrity builds good governance, it builds sustainability, and also it helps people to be able to what? To understand like who you are. It makes you to be really, really clear in your leadership and everything you do. So bringing it to the African leaders, we know very well our African leaders are not, they don't have integrity, I would say, because many of them don't lead with accountability. Many of them are not morally upright in the essence that they are not truthful. Let's bring it to the Nigerian economy, for instance. You can see corruption every institution of the country, from the school to the public to the healthcare to the road. Everything is actually functioning outside integrity. So I would say that integrity is really critical for us to build our governance, because this helps us to what? To have a strategic, to strengthen and to form a good governance. And for this to take place, it must start from the society we work on, we live in. It must start from the educational system, and it must start from every one of us here, because integrity, building our future leaders starts from today. It doesn't have to be in next 10 years. It doesn't have to be maybe something you have to tell another person, because we ourselves are going to stand as a future leader tomorrow, except maybe we are pointing fingers at others. We have to start taking responsibility of our own actions. That is where this integrity starts. And this is where the future can be seen. Because when we understand that we can be the future leaders, we start taking responsibility of our own actions. And this is where, in this essence, it start affecting our daily life, in the essence that we will reject small corruptions. In Nigeria today, we embrace corruption, and corruption has actually become the order of the day. People When we talk about integrity as being morally upright, it means that morality is not actually very important in the society we live in today, and it's affecting everything we are doing, affecting us both in the educational system. I give myself an example because I'm still schooling. When you go to school today, if you don't have connections, you can't actually get into the institution. Even with your good results, you won't get there. Rather, it's just a slight, maybe by mistake, I would say, that you get into school with your good results, with your good everything. Because many of our system today is built on people bringing in their own, bringing in their distance. I wrote exam, let me just say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I tried to get into school, I was not given admission. When I tell people today, they are surprised. Why? Because the first thing they first state is that tribalism. They bring that up. And tribalism cannot work in a sense that I'm applying in a whole community different from my own tribe, different from my own society. And also, I'm applying with a good result and all those things. They first screen their own people and they put them there.
Sorry,
So in
we
a
have three
society,
minutes. Then
okay, in a
3 minutes.
society whereby favoritism is much, whereby tribalism is much, the leaders cannot be built because our leaders start from our primary school stage, so we finish our university. And if in the school that we are being taught, corruption is being taught, because for you to write your exam, many of the teachers even give the students expo, meaning you are teaching a child for like a term, for a whole full year. Let me just put it that way. And you are giving them exam at the end of the day, giving them question paper, giving them answers, meaning that you have already built that corrupt mentality in them. That is why many of our youth today are not being held accountable of their actions. They do anything because they feel they can get away with it. If the educational system of a nation is actually poor, is actually corrupted, is actually going to affect anything you're going to build in the youth, in the leaders, in anybody you're building, because education of a nation is what strengthens the nation. The education system of a nation is what strengthens them. And when the educational system has been affected with corruption, you can't actually bring out people who are actually notable. You can't actually bring out people who doesn't have that corruption as a mentality, because it has been taught to them. That is why I see many of our youth today, they don't study, they don't read. They just feel that, oh, I could do this and I'll get up there. I could use money. I could sleep with the lecturer. I can do that and that. And this is where the issue starts. So when we start holding ourselves accountable, start rejecting small corruptions, before we talk about the big ones, talk about billions and this and the little corruption we see daily, favoritism, and being transparent in our daily life. Firstly, in our own family, our family is what, different family is what make up a community. From that different family, we form a school, we form a nation, we build leaders. And you know, in our little places that we have been given this thing, giving leadership to control, many of us are head of some team in our workplace. Some of us are working in under people, and we are still acting corrupt manner, meaning we still take things that doesn't belong to us, do myopic stuff, and it affects the building of the company, even though nobody watches it, even though it's little. But that little is still the thing that is affecting African country today. Those little things that doesn't look as if it matters is what is actually affecting us till today. And when each of us start taking responsibility of our own action, knowing that we are going to stand to be the future leaders of tomorrow, we start what? We start working on ourselves. So for it to be critical, for it to be very critical, the work starts from each individual, everybody. We should stop pointing fingers at people who are far. We should start looking at ourselves as the main future leaders of Africa. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, ma. Please, can we just put our hands together for her? She did so much so well. I think someone drops a message in the chat box, and in the person of Sebastian Thomas, He said, in his opinion, integrity means doing the right thing where no one is seeing you or being boastful. Thank you so much for that contribution. I think the part that really strike a chord in me was when she said integrity is when you have nothing in your cupboard, when you know you don't have anything in your cupboard. That is to say, you can be interrogated at any point in time and you know your hands are clean. Thank you so much for that insight into what integrity is. My ED, I don't know if you have anything to say. The mic is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Anyang, for your very beautiful the way you answered that question. And for me, like Mr. Sam, another aspect that really touched me was, let's just stop thinking of corruption from a very far lens. Let's start with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be responsible enough to take accountability of our actions. In that school where you are, what are you doing that is not right? In that office where you are, what are you doing that is not right? Now you are just, bringing out the small speck in your neighbor's eye, in your leader's eye, while you have a big log in your own eye. So that means invariably that if I am taking responsibility for my acts and I'm acting properly with integrity, the big leaders are also acting with integrity. Everybody would have integrity in their workspace and it will affect the whole community. I really like the way you put it, because most times you remain on the sideline complaining, oh, our leaders. Once there is small traffic, you need to see the way everybody begins to behave like animals on the road. The road now gets blocked. Nobody's taking responsibility. Everybody's in a hurry to go home. Nobody's obeying traffic laws anymore. So you see how being a leader is even beyond positions, like we said in the beginning. That very place where you are in the market at that time where something is happening, are you just, let losing of yourself and shouting and making all the drama just because nobody is watching, or you are remaining a leader in leadership position? We must remain leaders everywhere we find ourselves, in any condition whatsoever. And I just hope that one day Nigeria will be good again. And Nigeria cannot be good, Africa cannot be good, if we are looking at leadership from afar, from a place of position or names or titles. We are all leaders and we must begin to act like them. And until we begin to act like leaders, we will not see the change that we're expecting, honestly. So that was just what I wanted to add to that, because that really, really stood out for me. Thank you so very much for asking too.
Thank you very much, Ma. Miss Ungumu dropped something on the chat box and she said, very true. It begins with each person. Leadership begins with each person. It begins on an individual basis. Thank you so much, Ma. I would like to give the mic to our panelists, and we'll be starting from Ms. Adeo for their final insights, their final inputs. But quickly before then, let me make a little announcement. If you're on this call, please do well to drop your email address in the chat box. And if you have any comments, any question, any contribution, or any concern, do well to drop it on the chat box also. Mrs. Adele, I don't know if you can hear me. The mic is yours now. You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, thank you again. Very true, Jennifer. Very true, Ngozi, my co-panelist. Very true that leadership begins with each person, because we are leaders in our various spaces, whether it's at work or at home, as a mother or as a senior brother or as a father, whatever, in various capacities, we are all leading. You see that little government position we have as secretary, you are leading in that position. Be a good example. That is the entire mantra that every person should live by. We should obtain moral character, soundness, which is what we are big on at Nachadava. Moral character, soundness, that's the basis, the most little thing that every human being should have. Bring up your children with the sound moral character, sound strong character, strong values, and would eventually have a very decent society, a decent community that we are all proud of. So yes, the future of leadership is sitting right there. That's you, where you are, where I am. That is the future of leadership. So if you look at yourself and you see that you cannot, if you check the parameters, your performance indicators, and you are not portraying the right characters, you need to start checking yourself. It means that in the next few years, when you become senator or governor, you are that person that we are going to point out and call a corrupt man or a corrupt woman or a nepotic person or a bad leader, a person that we will not be willing to vote for. It begins right now where you are. Start reforming your character. Start doing things intentionally to build up a better character and better value system. That is what our communities need in our schools, amongst our friends, in our family. So I'm asking, are we going to lead with confidence or arrogance? Are we going to be that leader who does not listen to his people, the people who put him in position, or the people who elected him, or the people who appointed him? Are you going to listen? Are you going to take their concerns seriously? Or are you going to be an arrogant leader that does not care the feelings of the people and the pains they go through? As long as you and your family are fine, then every other person can go to hell. Is that the kind of leader we're going to be? Are we going to listen and follow through with the people's concerns? Are we going to serve, or are we going to dominate? Are we going to be controlling? These are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves, because right there where you are is a leader and a person who may eventually govern nations, but you've got to start from right there where you are to do certain things, take certain steps to develop the right character and the right value system. I think I'll stop here. Thank you so much. Well, I would say in summary, or I've summarized several times, we really do need to look inwards, everybody. If we look at our own society, our Nigeria, where we belong, no matter how far we japa and run, we're still going to need to fix our country. And it's not enough to keep pointing our fingers at these so-called bad leaders, the government leaders and the rest. It's not enough to do that, because those people came from amongst us. We put them in position, they came from amongst us, and they showed us, they have become a reflection of what we have in our own hearts. That is the truth about leadership. The leaders came from amongst the people. Yes, they get there, like the word says, the statement says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they didn't know their tendencies until they were given such power, access to power. Same thing I would dish out here as a warning to every one of us who is going to lead in various capacities. You really do not know your capacity. You do not know the abilities, the things, your excesses, until you actually have been given that opportunity. It is the day you become a governor that will truly know your character. The day you become president, that's when we'll truly know your nature. Right now, you are humble in your face me, I face you, or wherever you are, because you do not have. But what are you going to do when we give power to you and you have access, you are able to do anything, make any decision? How are you going to run society? That is the true question. And I believe that that is the focus of this meeting today, which is why I was so excited to be a part of it. Every single person, start doing something in your own space. You cannot lead people if you yourself are not well led or well trained to lead, to prepare yourself. So this is a time for each and every one of us to prepare ourselves to hold leadership positions at whatever levels and capacity. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Please, can we send in our emojis, our loves, our hearts, our thumbs up, and everything? Let's send them in. She really made a point, and she made a sense when she talked about character development. And this character development is very essential, very crucial, and very important. Mr. Adams sent something to the chat box, and I read, he's defining a leader as one whose action inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. Truly, that is the definition of a leader. Thank you so much, sir. He also said you cannot lead people beyond how well you have been able to lead yourself. Wow, very correct. That means leadership starts with self-leadership. Without self-discipline, without self-leadership, there's no true leadership. He said, which includes self-awareness, discipline, and motivation. Thank you so much, Mr. Adams. Wow. Thank you, everybody. So finally, Mrs. Ungozi, I'll give you the mic to give your final remark why we harvest questions from the chat box. And if you have a question, you can also do well to raise your hand. And if you've not written your email in the chat box, please do well to do so. Miss Ungozi, over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you once again, and I appreciate that I was able to like drop something because I was so what I would say that in essence, because there's this adage in Igbo, I don't know how to put it out, but I'll say it in English. They said a bad character that is not stopped become custom, meaning that anything that someone is constantly doing or that is constantly being done and is not being corrected, and before time it becomes a normal thing, it becomes a culture, it becomes a way of life of people. So the thing is that for us to lead in integrity, it talks about having, first of all, shaping ourselves first. And when we shape ourselves, we become, our society becomes shaped. Change doesn't start from maybe a miles away. It starts from each person. And we should also be role models to people around us. And I used to tell people this, just like me, I'll use myself for an example because I don't like going far, far, far. There's a place I work till today. Anytime I call this my boss, he will actually recommend a new job. Maybe I quit my old job and I say, oh, where do I need work now? And I call this man, I need job. He will actually recommend a new place for me and they will actually employ me. The reason why is that when I work with him, he's, although when I was working with him, the first thing he noticed was my punctuality. The second thing he noticed was that I never stole his money. So these few points made him that he trusted me. Even when I left, if I bring somebody to him that, oh, I want this person to work in your organization, as far as the person is coming from me, he feels that this person is morally upright. Like, oh, this person can do this thing because the person bringing her is like this. So the thing is that we should be a good example, a role model to others. And the thing is that in Nigeria, in all African countries, our youth are actually growing, increasing. Just like I read a statistic, they said African youth population has the potential by doubling by 2050, making them the largest demographic force globally, meaning that in 2050, our youth are going to be like the most, African youth are going to be more globally, meaning that more in the whole world. So if we are having the highest population in youth and there is no moral upbringing in them, there's no self-discipline, there's no what they call integrity in them, it will just be like having crowds of barbarians because it's just going to be a waste. And this thing has to do with the things we look up to, the things we support, the things we overlook. So integrity is a lifestyle, it's something you uphold as a person. It doesn't have to be something being taught to you every day, it's something you choose to do. You can't be forced to be morally upright. You can't force somebody, but when you look at that, oh, this is something I wish is being done to me, let me also do it with others. It will help you a lot. So building a mindset that helps you to eliminate putting others down, looking others down, just like the topic that Mrs. Adele treated, which talking about leading with confidence and not pride, living with humility. You have to be humble. So, because someone that has integrity is not, I know it all. Because
All right, ma.
integrity,
Round up in few minutes time. I'm sorry to cut you short. Sorry.
uh, thank you. I'm all. I think everything has been said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. Thank you. I really like how this section is going so realistic and practical. We are not just quoting books and Wikipedia and all those things. We are relating it down to our personal life. And I really appreciate you for breaching that gap and letting us know that integrity is something that can be achieved even amongst us. It's not something only for leaders, even for the youth. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. And thank you everybody for being on call. I'd like to give the mic to my ED now for her contributions and also final remarks. Please, while she's speaking, if you have any questions, still do it to raise your hand, and our panelists will be glad to attend to it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam, for wonderful moderation. I really want to sincerely thank our incredible panelists. I really, really love the way our program went this evening, and to every participant who joined this meaningful conversation. You know, tonight we were just reminded that leadership is not about power alone. It's about service, integrity, courage, and the willingness to create opportunity for others, the willingness to allow others to be included. So as a leader, you don't have to know it all, you can include others. That's why we talk of women and youth inclusion. Take, for instance, Miss Ngozi. If you see the picture, she looks very young. And someone will say, how can Juwasi put this type of young person as a speaker? If we do not listen to, and look how practical, down to earth, personal examples she kept giving of herself and how she has been leading in her life. I am so proud of you, ma'am. And I really look forward to, hearing the good things that God will do in your life because of your moral uprightness. I want us to promote good character. Let's have a mindset re-engineering towards this thought that you must know somebody, you must be corrupt, you must do one or two bad things to be able to make it. Take me, for instance. I grew up with so many stereotypes. Oh, Benue girls, no worry, she just a waster. We know then she go soon tire. Physical discouragement, but I never gave up. I stayed morally upright. I chose the path that I chose. What is the path that you are choosing today? Are you cold or hot? Because you have to be hot in what you believe in. You cannot be hot today and then tomorrow one small circumstance come and then the wind just blow and then you move, you become cold again. You have to choose the path, and the path of leadership has to be the one that is upright, filled with integrity. To every young person and every young woman listening, please do not also underestimate your voice, your ideas, and your ability to influence change. I know how many people have written, you are an inspiration to me. Because of you, I have taken up this opportunity. Because of you, I have made this decision. What if I silenced my voice because I was rejected, or I felt some pains in the beginning, or some doors were even close to me before I even got close to knocking? What if the idea of Juwasi didn't come to light? That means all these testimonies of people calling to say, do you know, I love what you're doing with Juwasi just for this purpose. I want to do this. I have done this because of this. You are able to influence the positive change you're looking for. Don't be on the sideline, because leadership begins long before titles are earned. I was made the president of my secondary school alumni in absentia. I was not even in that election. And my classmates, they saw a need for me to lead them. Why? Because they trusted me. So you see now, leadership begins before titles, long before positions. And it begins with your character, your consistency, and the decisions that you make, your mindset. The thing is that character is just like okpehe, iru, locust beans. There is no way you have a leadership potential in you and it will hide. It will show, and it can only show through your character. And what is your character? Is your character about service to other people? Is your character about integrity, courage, and all these good things you are saying? Honesty, trustworthiness. Some of us are not trustworthy. Today you are here, tomorrow you are there. Please Everybody who is listening to us today, I just really, really congratulate you, because I do sincerely hope that we'll leave this place different people. Because at JUASI, through our Women and Youth Financial Empowerment Program, we remain committed to raising leaders who are empowered, not just economically, but also ethically and socially. Because if today we're only teaching financial literacy, then you have all the billions and the millions, and there is no ethical growth in you, there is no social knowledge and awareness, no social stability in you, then we have failed. So when we call for women and youth financial empowerment and the topic is on leadership, do not be confused. Do not say, oh, they said it's women and youth financial. What financial are they talking here? What is your money without your knowledge of all that we have discussed this night? So if you are here tonight, be an ambassador of the Julie Brahma Women and Children Initiative, JUASI. Spread the word. Write on your status, write on your social media 3 to 5 things that you learned about tonight. You must put it out there and tag us. Say in JUASI's Women and Youth Financial Empowerment, we talked about leadership. For me, this is my thoughts. The speaker, Adele, said this. Ngozi said this. The moderator said this. But this is my take. Let's have that conversation on your pages. You don't know who will be watching, who will be reading, and whose life will change. So thank you very much, our panelists. Thank you to our guests and participants, and thank you most especially to our moderator, Mr. Ajay Samuel Ayeni. I really do sincerely appreciate you all, and I am so blessed. I do hope you will join us the last Saturday of this month for our Victoria show. God bless you. Have a good one. Bye-bye for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think someone dropped something on the chat box. Let me check quickly before we leave. Okay, Mr. Benjamin. He said, this meeting is pretty insightful. The situation of bad leadership is a nightmare to Africa, particularly Nigeria. Unfortunately, this bad leadership begins with every one of us as we fail in our various responsibilities. If we do a self-check, we will discover that every one of us has failed in little ways in our own responsibilities, which is changing the narrative of good leadership today. For instance, as a teacher or parent who encourages exam malpractice, how do you expect product of exam malpractice to get things done with integrity and responsible leadership? We don't need to point fingers to bad leadership, but we collectively need rebranding in our society for better leadership. I think this is a pinpoint to end this meeting. Thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. Thank you for being on the call till this time. Thank you so much. We appreciate, we love you, and we celebrate you. As my ED said, Women and Youth Financial Empowerment Program is coming up every last Saturday of the month. So do well to join, and the recording will be made available. The recording of this video will be made available for those on the chat box. So we'll send the recording to you in the chat box so you can still go through it. And the Women and Youth Empowerment Program comes up on the 8th day of every month. So do well to attend, and we'll be transformed to become transformers. Thank you, and good night, everybody.